Alrighty. So, landing your dream job, it's not a mystery. It follows a simple, repeatable process that's based on a fundamental law, the law of cause and effect. This law basically states that if you take the right actions in this physical world, you will get the right results. And if you don't have the result you're looking for yet, it's just because something isn't quite right yet. The actions you've taken haven't been quite right yet. That's it. So I wanted to just take a few minutes to break down exactly how to approach your job search using this law, because if you truly understand this law, you will be guaranteed results. Like, you will actually be guaranteed results because it simply works this way. It's not magic. The first step with the law of cause and effect is you need to know exactly what you are aiming for, what your goal is. So as you are going through this process of landing the job, you need to keep asking yourself, what is the goal? What is the objective? What kind of job are you looking to secure? What kinds of organizations are you targeting? Having a very clear target allows you to plan much easier. It makes everything much easier. The law of cause and effect, for it to work, you need to define what effect you want and then identify the causes that will lead to that effect. And if you are not 100% sure about what your goal is, that's okay. You can keep it a bit broad for now. But later on, let's get as clear as we can without getting overly clear. So we need to firstly define what goal you have. The next step is we need to figure out what actions do I need to take to make that goal happen. I know this is sounding really, really simple, but it really is that simple at the foundational level. And the great news is that in this program, we've already laid out pretty much how to do everything for you. We've laid out the process for landing jobs, so you don't need to guess so much. You've got mostly a good blueprint here. So you mostly need to follow this system. This is, building a really strong resume, building a strong LinkedIn profile, writing great resumes and cover letters, having a really clear target for the jobs you're going to get, going for jobs that you're realistically a good fit for, applying with the right strategies, targeting the right roles with these applications, mastering networking using LinkedIn and email and whatnot, and building relationships with people at these target companies, developing very strong interview skills so you can sell yourself and convince people to hire you. These are the steps. And every single high-level step is just a series of actions underneath it. So if you're ever stuck during this process, you're not sure which actions to take, and if you have access to our coaching and support, reach out and get help. And we can help you fix any of these issues and help you understand what actions you need to take to achieve that desired result. Now, another key step here is looking at the leading indicators. So most people, they stress about getting a job offer. But really, job offers don't just appear out of nowhere, right? They're the result of consistently taking the right steps and actions every day, like we discussed. And when you're beginning this job search, your main goal is to get interviews at target companies where you can get those jobs, or networking calls, like video calls with people at the company, informal chats, coffee chats, things like this. Ideally with decision makers at target organizations, but also with other people can help too. So interviews and informal interviews, basically, interviews and chats. Now, once you're consistently getting interviews in these chats, you're kind of halfway there. Typically, clients only need 2, 3, maybe 4 interviews to get an offer, or 5, 6, 7 chats. So at this point, if you can do that, you're doing a great job already. You need to focus on maintaining that stream of interviews and chats, and then you need to focus now on converting interviews and chats into offers. So your communication skills, building relationships with these people, selling yourself effectively, and at some point, asking them for an opportunity. At some point, you need to ask them, what could I do to join your team? And if you aren't getting interviews or chats, or you can't convert those interviews or chats into job offers, then that's just a sign that something's not quite working. We aren't quite taking the right actions. And so the way we solve that is we use the feedback loop. And where most job seekers go wrong is they keep doing the same thing over and over again, and they expect different results. But instead, what you want to do is you want to track everything that you're doing and measure the results that you're getting. From there, we can figure out what to change to enhance your results. So think of this job search like a scientific experiment. For example, what jobs are you applying for? Specifically, what kind of resume, LinkedIn messages, cover letters are you using specifically? Who are you reaching out to when you're networking? What kind of messages are you sending specifically? And that's tracking, what you are doing, but then you also have to measure the results, right? So from every application I send, or how many applications am I sending? Now, how many responses am I getting? How many messages are we sending on LinkedIn, and what responses are we getting? How many responses are we getting? Where's the bottleneck in the process? If you're getting interviews and networking calls, how do we convert them into offers? Is there an issue going here? Is that working? Or is it not working? How many interviews and networking calls have you had, and how many offers have you got? If you're not getting interviews or networking calls, then there could be a range of issues. It could be that the resume needs some slight adjustments. It could be that we're going for the wrong kinds of roles. It could be that our messages aren't compelling. It could be that we're targeting the wrong people. It could be that our messages sound a bit too generic or AI generated or unprofessional. It could be that the LinkedIn profile isn't quite hitting the mark. It isn't quite resonating. It could be all these sorts of things. So once we've gathered the data and once we've measured the results, we need to assess, are we getting the kind of results that we want to be getting? And if we're not, we've got to try and figure out what the issue is, and we have to adjust something. We have to use that data to try and figure out what it is and adjust something. And then we have to test it again. If something isn't quite working, then please ask our team for help. Because, if you've signed up to our program and you've got access to that, we're here to help you troubleshoot and improve your approach. And this is very, very common. So it's not unusual for you to have to do this. For example, we had a client a while back. I think he sent 50 cold messages on LinkedIn and got no responses. So he was very, very confused. He was thinking, what's going on? This should be working. And he reached out to us for help. And all we did was make a couple of tiny tweaks to his messages. And right away, they started working again. So it's a very fine-tuned process. Within weeks, he was getting chats and interviews, and I think he landed 4, 5, or 6 offers. He landed a lot of offers. And this is why it's so important to look at this very logically. What is the goal we're trying to achieve? What are the actions we're taking? Specifically, tracking those, measuring the results, and then tweaking as we go, and looking at it very objectively. The other really important thing with the law of cause and effect is to take responsibility for it, because if you don't have a job yet, it's not bad luck or anything like that. It's not really a mystery. It's just because we're not taking the right actions, and we have to fix the actions. Either we're not taking the right ones in the right order, or we're not taking enough of the right ones, right? So it's really important that you take ownership of your results. Don't blame, luck or the recruiters or the economy or anything like that. there's lots of little things it could be. So make sure to track everything. Don't rely on just, your memory. Actually write this stuff down. If you're that way inclined, use spreadsheets and gather the data so you can analyze your approach. Identify what's not working, make adjustments, test new things, get help when you need it, especially if you have access to our support and coaching. And with this law of cause and effect and this feedback loop that we're implementing, we basically try things, test it, and we keep going and optimizing until we see results. And a really important thing here is you don't want to fix what isn't broken, because some people who go through this program, things are working pretty well for them, and they'll try and change things up to make them even better, and then they'll end up breaking things. So I recommend not doing this. For example, if you apply to say 10 jobs and you get 1 or 2 interviews, that's actually very, very good. So don't mess with this process. I mean, if you can convert 10 applications into 2 interviews, just keep doing what you're doing, because if you apply to 10, 20, 30, 40 jobs, you're going to get tons of interviews and you're going to get an offer. Only change things when it's clearly working. Clearly not working. So that's my 2 cents on that. I think it's a very powerful law if we think of it very objectively. And if I can kind of end on a thought, it is that this process is not about luck. It's about figuring out what works. What actions lead to the result you want? And how many of those actions do we need to do? And that means you need to track what you're doing, measure the results, change things a little bit in order to try and optimize and improve the process. And if you do that and you get our help, you are going to start getting interviews and chats, and you are going to be able to get that job offer. It's just inevitable. That's just how this law works. It's like the physics of the world. So now all you need to do is go out there, implement the law of cause and effect, implement those feedback loops, and go and make it happen. The world is yours, and there's no reason why you can't get that job you want.